Good morning, everyone. This is Barry Tonning from Tetra Tech. I'm the moderator for this session. We're going to get started in just a minute here. People are still logging in. I see Shane has his slides up, so I think we're going to be ready to go. This session will be on operation and maintenance of BMPs and outfall inspections. Our presenters are Shane Adams and Jerry Northridge from College Township. So are you folks ready to go?
Yep, whenever you're ready, let us know.
All right, well, it's 9:55, so let's go ahead and get started. Thanks.
All right, so my name is Shane Adams. I'm a GIS technician, field survey technician here at College Township, and I work alongside Jerry Northridge, engineer at College Township and Harris Townships. I want to say too, Jerry, if you have anything to add prior to me starting this session, just speak up if you're there. The session is involving how we've integrated our GIS technologies into the Outfall and BMP inspection process for yearly reporting, and how to kind of transition from a paper-based inspection process to a more of a digital format. It gets a bit technical, but I'll try to kind of go over all of the aspects of it, trying to answer all questions if possible. Obviously, if you have questions at the end, just let me know. I would like to highlight that we've shared this process with multiple municipalities, planning agencies across the state, and it has been implemented, and we've helped them set it up. We're here to help you as well. If you ever have questions about this, I will share a link to this story map after the presentation's over. So, feel free to reach out with any technical questions, even after the fact, if you're looking to set something like this up, as it really is not too difficult. So I'll try to explain as best I can to you. So we use Esri GIS technologies here at the township. This is specifically focused on how we use Survey 123, which is a ArcGIS online application, and how we integrate that into our stormwater inspection processes. So going through here, just to start with a few of the requirements. There are other GIS applications and companies out there, but again, we're using ArcGIS Online. So ArcGIS Online, ArcGIS Pro account is recommended. That is a link to give you some pricing options and things like that. If you are interested, Survey 123 Connect for desktop and mobile. These all come as a bonus to ArcGIS Online subscription, so they are free with the subscription ArcGIS. A mobile device for field inspections, preferably with cellular capabilities, as you want to have.
Wrap it now and then put the board on.
Just a reminder to everyone, if you're not speaking, please do mute your microphones. We can eliminate some of that background noise. Thanks.
Oh, sorry about that. So a mobile device for field inspections. We use a Samsung Galaxy Tab A, which works just fine. I know a lot of people really prefer Apple products for GIS or GIS technologies. We've really have very few issues just using a Android device. So I use a Tab A for doing inspections. Again, cellular capabilities is not technically required, but it makes everything a lot easier. As with GIS base maps, you can always download offline versions of them, and with Survey 123, you can actually do your inspections in the field, and then after the day is done, wait till you get on Wi-Fi to upload all of those inspections. But generally, if you have a cell phone with cellular capabilities, obviously that's going to be a lot better because you can track where you are in the field. And then the other requirement would be existing stormwater map and feature layers with unique identifiers for your outfalls and BMPs. And we'll get into that a bit here. So kind of the history as to how this all started, the transition to the automation of this whole process. You can see in that image in the beginning, field inspections of stormwater assets were paper-based, with the outfall locations actually being on topographic maps. So you had no kind of general relation when you were in the field. You were kind of going out there based on paper mapping, which there's nothing wrong with that, but it makes the process a bit tedious in terms of trying to find what you're looking for when you're out there. As what we all know, these riparian zones can really grow up year to year, and outfalls can be incredibly hard to find even when you have a point showing you exactly where it is with your relation to that point, available as well. So the physically locating them was obviously tricky again. So we knew there was an obvious need for a smarter location-based tracking system to keep track of these inspections, especially with all the new requirements coming down the pipeline from EPA. So the township started by adopting a GIS program. This started initially, as with most municipalities and local governments, as an internship program for a summer, from the university, summer internship. Students would come in and start mapping all of our stormwater facilities, which was super awesome that we had this kind of ongoing effort early in the stage of adopting a GIS program. So they initially focused on finding the outfalls and BMPs, but then it also went on to mapping the stormwater main locations, inlets, manhole covers, and then all of the physical attributes associated with all of those layers. So we really got a nice stormwater map digital going here. So you can see this is interactive. This is the urbanized area in the orange dash. So we really focus on, getting our internal stormwater system within the urbanized area as accurate as possible. And we focus most of our inspections in that area from year to year. You'll see here as I zoom in, the pink circles are the outfalls that have not yet been inspected this year, the green being the ones that have been inspected. And we try to inspect pretty much all of them every year, just to keep it up to date and see if there's anything going on. I personally do the inspections in the field alongside with Jerry Northridge. When we have a call from a resident or a complaint or something like that, we'll go out and do the inspection kind of on the spot. So this makes it super efficient and easy to locate and find all of the information we need to on the fly in the field. So as you click on the point, it brings up the attribute information, and you can actually see when it was last inspected. This one actually was this year, so 2021. So obviously that's makes everything a bit more efficient and easy to use. So in realizing the growing need for the importance of GIS in the township, a full-time position was added in 2017. But even with all the advancements of GIS and actually having all of our outfalls and BMPs mapped, we still had that kind of problem of having the tedious paperwork to do out in the field. So we started to utilize ArcGIS Online here at the township. In 2019, when I was hired at the township, I started transitioning all of our workflows to ArcGIS Pro and ArcGIS Online from ArcMap, which is the desktop platform for ArcGIS. These two, ArcGIS Pro and Online, are more integrated and cloud-based. So sharing across platforms becomes a lot easier and more efficient. And then we went into utilizing field applications like Collector and Survey 123, which again enabled greater efficiency in the asset inspection and reporting at the end of the year. So the idea was to automate the process. Again, DEP provides this MS4 outfall report template, which is a questioning sequence. Here's a link if you wanted to grab one of those. that is required for each outfall you inspect each year. So the idea was to generate the form in Survey 123 that replicated the questioning sequence to match the DEP schema for their field screening report. So I will kind of go into how we did that and the thought behind it and how it was accomplished. So Survey 123 Connect is essentially a map-based Excel program. I actually included a pre-built survey that matches the DEP outfall inspection report questioning sequence for you to use. It's on a Google Drive, so you can download it, and it's pre-built, so all of the kind of hard work was done, and it's ready to be implemented into your program if you so choose. So this Survey 123's advanced form template was generating the questioning sequence, and it is, again, it has some different columns and things like that you can go into. ArcGIS has a lot of training online if you so choose to kind of follow this method. So again, if you have questions, let me know on that. But it's there for you to use if you'd like. So to publish, this is kind of the steps of how we did it. Published ArcGIS online.
In a webinar.
Once the form is free of errors, it is time to publish your survey. So that form that I provided for you, you will be able to actually, in Survey 123 Connect, publish it and generate your feature layer. So publishing creates that feature layer with the attributes that match the desired fields, the DEP field report. That form-based feature layer is then appended to the organization's existing unique outfall layers or BMP layers with their unique IDs. And you can include the XY values, lat long, and image attachment enables, and also other predefined attributes such as pipe dimension, pipe type, BMP type, whether it's a basin or a wet pond or a buffer strip. So all of that is kind of integrated. So in this finalizing the survey in Connect, you create that new survey based on the feature layer service that you had just published. This new survey form will be very similar to the original with a few slight differences. This is after that survey that you had initially created was appended to your existing feature layers in relation to your outfalls and your BMPs with the unique IDs. The instance name is a function that allows you to tie your existing outfall layers and BMP layers to this pre-built form. So if you have someone who works in GIS in your organization, or if you're interested in it, this code here is provided will enable you to tie your built survey that matches DEP questioning sequence into your existing layers. So that's really important, and that's kind of where that inbox functionality comes into play. And I'll go through what the app looks like once it's up and running. So the last step would be to enable inbox mode. So when you open Survey 123 in the field, this is what the home page sort of looks like. It's easy to switch between the built surveys. So like when I go out in the field for College and Harris Townships, I can go through and inspect BMPs and outfalls kind of all at the same time because I have all of these surveys available to me. So the efficiency is, really hard to match when it comes down to it. The other nice thing is that Survey 123 is really easy to train people on. So we also rely on Survey 123 mobile for other tedious inspection processes like hydrant flushing and our public works inlet cleaning. And those are performed and recorded by our guys in the field. So we have a water authority that operates within the township that uses Survey 123 to, measure flows of the hydrants when they're flushing them and kind of keep track of that entire process, as that's, as you all know, pretty important. And then we also do that Public Works inlet cleaning each year, where we suck out the inlets of the silt and gravel that kind of gets stuck in the catch basins, removing all of that from the the system. So it's a really great way to track that process. So again, talking about Survey 123, once you open your outfall inspection survey, as I did here, the inbox function below is what you would see. So this year so far, we've done 40 inspections of outfalls. We have 119 outfalls in the township, so 79 to go. And I'll show you how we kind of keep track of that, aside from just these basic numbers here. Nice thing about Survey 123 is all sent surveys can be edited. If you realize you made a mistake, or you'd want to go back and add a certain comment to that outfall, or you can resubmit it. And again, it's ideal to have a cellular connection when doing this, but it is not entirely necessary, as we will see here. Base maps can be downloaded and used in an offline function. So you can kind of go in the field and find these points and then fill out the surveys for each individual point. At the end of the day, all the sent surveys can be kind of sent to your organization, your ArcGIS Online account, when you have Wi-Fi connectivity. So that's another option for those not willing to invest in a cellular device for inspections. So once you open that inbox, you have the ability to choose between a list and a map. I always kind of go with the map because it is a fully integrated mapping application that allows you to see your specific location in relation to the outfalls or BMP points. As you can see here, the IDs of each outfall are listed and their exact locations. And then with your little arrow, that's kind of where you are in relation to it. You can zoom in and out, and you can also change the base map, which is kind of helpful if you want to have like a more basic base map with just road names and things like that, or you can switch between aerials as well. The other nice thing is, if you were to find an outfall in the field that you didn't know was there, you can actually add that using Survey 123 to your geo database, all while being in the field. So that's super helpful also. So again, this is kind of what it looks like when you open up that survey designed to match the questioning sequence. The thing we like to do is have drop-down menus. So, whoever's doing the inspecting, in this case, it's either I or Jerry, myself or Jerry, you have the drop-downs which enable you to, or, you don't have to be typing anything in with, you can just be selecting predefined fields. So, that really ensures consistent data, avoids spelling errors, and it also obviously significantly reduces inspection times for each of the outfalls or BMPs. So you're going through, if it is a dry weather inspection and there's no flow present, I mean, an outfall inspection can take under a minute for each time. So that's super helpful, and obviously makes the whole process a lot easier and manageable for one person. And all I have with me is just a tablet and kind of go through, and we can generally do the majority of inspections in 2 to 3 days. And we do have 119 outfalls and around 138 BMPs within the township. So this is kind of how Jerry and I track our field inspections. This is a dashboard, another sort of mapping application that Esri provides to users with subscriptions. So this is based off of the stormwater map and all of our inspections. So again, you see the urbanized area, the inspections completed are in green, and the others yet to be completed are in blue. So it's super simple and easy to track. Clicking on a single one You can see when it was inspected, April 5th, Jerry and Shane, all of the other, things that you'd want to know when actually submitting the report. And you can also include a picture of the outfall, which will then be attached to the report in the end. So yeah, setting up a dashboard is a great way to track and kind of visualize your entire inspection process. This is also available in mobile, but generally looked at from a desktop standpoint. So now getting into the feature reporting, completely, getting rid of our paper-based requirements. Obviously, you can print out these features once these reports once they've been populated. But what I've done here is included a field screening report with a predefined code set. So that just means that all of these codes in the DEP form have been filled out. So whenever you submit this feature report, they'll all be automatically filled out. So that's also available for free as a download to anyone wishing to use it. Again, it looks pretty similar to this when it's done. The one thing to note about ArcGIS Online and this feature reporting tool is that each time you do generate a report based on your outfall, you will use half a credit. So that's one thing to keep in mind. For all of our reports each year, I mean, we're using around 50 to 60 credits for the entirety. So depending on if you do have ArcGIS Online, that is one thing to keep in mind. That's how they manage their storage and data management. But each time you run a report, you are using a small amount of credits. But I think in the end, with the efficiency and time saving that it presents, it's definitely worth it. So that's just one thing to keep in mind that I did want to highlight to you. So if we want to go in here, I will show you how this looks when we actually do the reporting. Can you all see this page?
Yes.
Okay, so you can see the ArcGIS Survey 123 and my mouse moving on the report here.
No, Shane. I'm still
Not
on
the
the Survey
mouse.
123 story map.
Okay, thank you. I will switch. Okay, you should be able to see it now.
There we go.
Yes.
Okay, so going in, you will see the outfalls that have been inspected. I will click on that point. This one was April 23rd. You have the ability to choose multiple records, so I could actually go in one fell swoop, select all of the outfalls that have been inspected this year and generate one report, and they would all fill out in separate PDFs that you could then send to the end user. So we're just going to do one for now as a demonstration. This is that predefined field screening report with the codes I was talking about that is available to all of you if you so choose to use it. The report is named, it's saved to a specific file location, and then it is then generated. This generally takes around 10 seconds. Even when I'm doing multiple, 50 outfalls at once, it only really takes about 30 seconds. So as opposed to the hours it would take to, fill that out by hand and sign it and then, organize it, it's all done within around 30 seconds. So then when that's opened, it is a nice filled out document. So we'll go to the, again, to the survey 1, 2, 3. Let me show you this. So again, it's all filled out with all of the required fields for each Outfall or BMP. I also provide a BMP predefined form and the instructions for that as well. We will have a link again to the story map for anyone to use if they so choose. And again, if you have questions about this or how to set it up, we are always willing to help. And I've again helped around a dozen different organizations set this up, and they have been using it with great success. So, if you have questions, please let me know. And Jerry, if you had anything to add, I'd welcome you to add your comments. But yeah, this is going to be available to everyone. I'll share a link in the comment section.
Thank you, Shane. When I started at the township, just before Shane had started, I was handed the historical inspection forms. Every BMP in the township looked like a potato, and there really was no quality information to what we were looking at. We were doing inspections just to say to DEP that we had done the inspections, but the long-term use of those inspections was not overly helpful. With what Shane's been able to develop, the drop-down menus, automatically exporting all the information from our inspection into the DEP forms, having that automatically generate, publish, has saved a great deal of information. And then not only just in the inspection process, but then also when we identify deficiencies, we have links to what's supposed to be there. We can link in as-built drawings. We can link in photos of when it was originally installed and then what damage has been done over the years or what silt has accrued. So this process and its tools down the line for enforcement, for long-term tracking, for just letting people know, hey, you have a BMP that you're supposed to be maintaining. Where we're at is a very solid position, and it's saved a great amount of time to have these things automated. So thank you, Shane, for all of your work in putting this together and for the process that we have.
And we do have quite a bit of time for questions here. We do have a question in the chat box here. Were the students who mapped the outfalls initially paid, or was it an unpaid summer internship?
I believe it was a paid internship, and again, that started in a little bit before 2016. So I believe it was paid. But so the nice thing about that is obviously you get someone to do that work for the summer, and it can actually they did find a lot, but I'm constantly each year finding more and more outfalls, and even locating more BMPs within the township. So we are constantly adding to that. Having someone working full time in a GIS position, depending on the size, obviously, of your municipality or of your organization, can really help keep that data and your geo databases super consistent, which is helpful. Not to say that can't be done with hiring interns each year. It's just when you have one person or a specific position working on that kind of aspect of this, it just makes everything a bit more efficient and more consistent. But that's not to say that doing an internship or having an internship program, locating these, doing all of that, on the ground field work is something that should not be considered, because I think that's a great way to kind of determine what you have in your area. So
to piggyback on that thought, so College Township utilized paid interns to do this. Yes, we are very near Penn State, and we do have a pretty healthy intern pool to choose from. But then as this is developed into a more regulatory process and accuracy matters, our neighbors to the south, Harris Township, they contract with the College Township Engineering Department. So I provide engineering services to Harris Township, and Shane provides GIS services to Harris Township. That prevents them from hiring a full-time staff member, and yet provides them with more knowledge base and more experience than what they would get if they just simply were trying to cherry pick some of this information with interns. If you don't have someone on staff in a supervisory capacity that can help direct these things, then it may be difficult for the intern to get you a regulatory compliant end product. So lean on your neighbors. Certainly the intern programs to get people experience and get them into this world is very beneficial. And then Shane does things with these computers that I just don't understand sometimes, but it makes my life insanely simpler. So it doesn't hurt to get people who have this knowledge base on your team.
And we still have time for more questions, and we've got a fairly small group online right now. So if you're out there and you do have a question, unmute your mic and you can go ahead and ask your question live, and then mute your mic back for the response.
I'll add, if there's no other questions, Shane has done this presentation previously to various folks around the state. And as he's indicated, we are available as a resource. So when you get back to your municipalities, feel free to share this. All these programs are recorded. They'll have a link on the Tetra Tech website. So you'll be able to share these trainings and kind of the experience that Shane's done. And the fact that these templates are pre-built by Shane and then available for public use, I think is going to save a lot of municipalities a lot of time in their reporting, inspection, and then ultimately in their compliance and enforcement avenues. So save the link and pay it forward.
Yeah, and thanks, Jerry. And to note, when people have reached out to get this set up within their organization, I've gone so far as to do just basically a walkthrough following the specific process of how it is done, even more in depth than say, this basic presentation, kind of a walkthrough screen share sort of format where we'll go through, I make sure they understand the process. And, in general, that really only takes about an hour. So, since all of these forms are provided, really all you're going to be needing is a kind of outfall layer, all of them found, or at least as many as you have found, because obviously we're adding more and more each year. Just about an hour time is pretty much all it takes. And again, having an ArcGIS online subscription is obviously required, but with some of the links in here, you'll see some of the pricing options and things such as that. But yeah, just don't be afraid to reach out if this is something you're interested in. We can talk about it in more detail and maybe set it up in your organization. So that's what we're here for, and please reach out if you have any questions.
Can you talk just a bit about pros and cons of 2 or 3 or 4 or more communities getting together to set something like this up at the same time?
So are you saying like if you had several different organizations interested in doing this,
right,
and doing a more specific presentation to it and how to set it up?
Yeah, setting up a system like this jointly, sort of sharing the load like you guys have done in Harrison College.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So that is definitely something that can be done. Again, speaking to data consistency, you'd want all of those outfall layers, all of those outfalls in a singular layer to set it up, but it can be done and parsed out into specific regions and areas. So each, we have around us 3 or 4 municipalities that are doing the same thing, and keeping it separate, I think makes sense for us. But I did work with a planning agency outside of Harrisburg that wanted to set this up for, multiple, an intermunicipal sort of function, and they did that. But again, that required one single layer of all of the outfalls or BMPs, in that area that they're looking at. So yeah, that's certainly something that can be done. I guess so. The con of it is that it just requires a larger sort of data set, I would say.
To follow up with that comment, not just across municipalities, but also across departments. In College Township, we have an independent water authority, but that water authority and the township have this joint effort where they're sharing this platform. We have a device that we can give to the water authority that they take out when they exercise valves, exercise hydrants. As Shane mentioned, we can give it to the public works crew when they're cleaning inlets. And so there's usefulness across platforms, across authorities, across departments, where once you get into this habit of building these drop-down menus, identifying what's done, with something as simple as inlet cleaning, the public works crew, while they're out there, can identify whether there's significant damage to an inlet box, whether it needs to be added to a replacement program. And so they're automatically generating these lists that are then useful to the public works as a work order. And it's all occurring in real time in the field. There's not an extensive amount of paper handling. When we do the outfall inspections, if we find crushed pipe, if we find plugged pipe, we can flag all of that in the field, and Public Works knows, what their next things on the to-do list are based upon this electronic flow of information, rather than keeping track of things on clipboards and ending up with all these lost notes. So it really does have benefits, across departments. Street trees, when we go out and we do our street tree program and we monitor the health of street trees and we monitor the health of ash trees and ash tree treatments. So there are so many just basic inspections that can be performed, not just in the MS4 world, but certainly including the MS4 world. And then expanding to, stormwater, the BMPs, private BMPs that you're requiring developers to maintain, HOAs to maintain, and then water authority uses, sewer authority uses, parks and rec, street trees. So these types of inspections and these types of schema are certainly very beneficial to a lot of time savings across the board for us.
Any other questions out there among the group? I think they're all overwhelmed. For field data collection, is it mostly tablets?
Yeah, so Jerry talked about accuracy. We do utilize the GPS unit as well when we're going out and kind of like trying to find these specific locations. So generally, when I find a new outfall, when I'm out doing inspections, I will collect it using the tablet. But if it's one that we kind of want really kind of down to the inches accuracy on, I'll use a GPS unit. But yeah, you totally can use tablets for data collection, such as outfalls and BMPs and things like that. So definitely an option.
All right. Any other questions out there? Comments? If not, we've got about 12 minutes before we log in for our next session. So thanks again, Shane and Jerry. Great presentation. I'm sure you're going to be getting some contacts on this.
Yeah, thank you. So yeah, again, feel free to reach out if you have any questions. We're here to help if you need it or want to set something like this up or something similar to this. So yep, anytime.
All right, thanks again. And just as a reminder, the BMP case studies session starts at 10:45, so be sure to hit leave for this session and log in to the 1045 session on the link on your agenda. Thanks again, and we'll see you in about 11 minutes.